Here's the latest on xtalks.com. Starting materials are an important part of a pharmaceutical supply chain, but it almost always lacks focus and control, which results in regulatory risk and unexpected rise in cost. Hello, I'm Mira Nabulsi, multimedia editor and webinar moderator for xtalks.com, and welcome to this edition of Xtalks Vitals. Our featured webinar for this episode is Strategies for Regulatory Starting Materials Designation in Drug Development and Manufacturing. Click the link in the description below to register for this free webinar. In order to prevent unexpected rise in cost when transitioning from clinical to commercial supply chain, the selection of drug substance regulatory starting materials play a crucial role. Xtalks spoke with leading expert Dr. Valdis Gergauskas, the VP of CMC at Acabia Therapeutics, about the importance of starting material. Take a listen.
Starting materials are of paramount importance to pharmaceutical supply chain, because if FDA or European Medicines Agency does not accept the proposed starting material designation, then essentially the entire supply chain originating from the starting material is invalidated, and the sponsor will not be able to sell a single vial or a tablet from the supply chain. The European Medicines Agency provided us with 7 examples of critical steps, which could apply to any part of chemical synthesis, including preparation of starting materials, and thus making the probability of pushback quite high. What if FDA accepts the proposed starting material designation, and then European Medicines Agency rejects that same designation? The sponsor could accept rejection and extend GMP portion of API process upstream. The downside of this option is that it creates 2 supply streams, one for the United States and one for Europe, and thus making supply chain a lot more complex and potentially less cost efficient.
When executing an RSM strategy, there are some risks and considerations that must be taken into account when selecting the correct RSM. Dr. Kei Chen, VP of Process R&D at Wuxi STA, speaks more about this to Xtalks. Take a listen.
When to consider risk mitigation for RSM selection? In general, RSM risk mitigation makes good paper exercise for all programs post-clinical proof of concept, especially if the proposed RSM is less than 3 chemical steps away from your final drug substance, or if your program is targeted for global filing and will potentially have very aggressive clinical timeline. So agencies don't really challenge RSM designation during development stage, as this phase gives sponsors sufficient time to develop robust control and demonstrate those controls are effective. However, it is very important to apply common sense in deciding the number of chemical steps under GMP delivery. Also, we recommend all CMC team to seek FDA feedback during end of phase 2 meeting. And if feasible, consider manufacturing those RSMs under GMP protocol for pivotal clinical supply.
RSM selection should be designed based on CMC knowledge, common sense, and market considerations, as well as include proactive communication with the FDA to ensure the most suitable RSM selection. Subscribe to the Xtalks YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below, and visit xtalks.com for more information on this story and our featured life science webinar for this episode. Strategies for Regulatory Starting Materials Designation in Drug Development and Manufacturing. Click the link in the description below to register for this free webinar.